Cool. Well, just like to thank everyone for coming to this session, our fourth or fifth session this morning at the iMoot, Mini Moot. And presenting now is Vinny Stocker. I get the great pleasure of actually working with Vinny on a day-to-day basis. And there's a lot I could say about him, and most of that's good. Not all of it's good. But Vinny has been involved with Moodle since its very earliest days, very knowledgeable, and we worked for many years to try and get him to, convince him to work with us, just because of his knowledge and his abilities with Moodle. So very much looking forward to this, and thank you, Vinny, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Shane, and it's a pleasure to be working with you as well. Hi, everybody. So I'm Vinny. I'll just say a few words to introduce the presentation and a few words about myself. So I decided to do a presentation about event monitoring in Moodle. I've been involved with Moodle since 2004, I think it was, where probably similar to some of you, somebody came up to me as my headmaster and said, "Hey, have you heard about this Moodle software, e-learning? Fantastic." And I've been using it ever since. So my background is as a school teacher. Most of that has been in international schools around the region. So around the Asia Pacific region, so working in Thailand and Malaysia. I've also worked for a while in Turkey as well. And in the last few years, I've been helping to run the iMoot. So setting up all of the iMoot site and logging in all of the presenters and setting up the courses and things like that. And also running all the marketing for it. Okay, so this talk is about event monitoring, which was introduced into Moodle in version 2.8. So during this presentation, I'll be just taking you through the steps that you need to do on your site to set up event monitoring, which is really straightforward, actually. So I'll point you towards the areas that you need to look at. You need admin access on your site to be able to do it. So that'll be the first part of the presentation. And the second part of the presentation, because my background is teaching and learning, I really want to look at some use cases with you and get you doing a little bit of thinking about how you can use event monitoring, either to help some of your teachers on your sites or as an admin, so that you can get certain notifications and things. One of my education heroes, John Hattie, I always have to put a little quote from John Hattie in my presentations or mention him in some way. I tend not to do the kind of chalk and talk style presentations, so expect some audience participation later on. I'll be trying, it might work, it might fall flat, but we'll give it a go. I'll be trying to get you guys to work together and message each other and try a few little activities to really get some deeper level thinking skills going. Okay, so there's three parts to setting up event monitoring on your site. First of all, you need to enable it. That's in the admin settings. I'll point you towards that in a second. Then you need to create at least one rule. And then you or your teachers need to subscribe to the rules to get the notifications. Okay, so this is all in the site administration under reports and event monitoring rules. So on your sites, if you click on that, if you haven't used it before, it will come up with a message say that it's currently disabled. So it's just a easy click to enable it. And then again, if you haven't used it before, it won't display anything. So you'll need to add a new rule. And then the same as everything else in Moodle, it needs a name, so it can be located in the system. Then within the rules, you can specify which area of the Moodle site that it will monitor. So let me just see if I can, where's my zoom, zoom. And there we go, so you can see it a little bit clearer. I'm not as quick as Fred on the whiteboard functions of Big Blue Button. It's very cool watching his presentation just then, how quick he was zooming in and annotating. I can't write with a mouse. Okay, so area to monitor. Now I'll show you the different areas that event monitoring looks at later on. For this example, I've chosen to look at to monitor the assignments. And within that, you get a number of different choices, what particular events that you can monitor. So I just want to monitor and get a notification when a assignment submission has been submitted to the system. You can give it a description. Below that, you have notification threshold and minutes. So this is the number of times the event happens in the certain time period. So maybe 10 within 30 minutes, you'll get a notification. I want to track everything, so I just left it on 1. And then within the notification message, so this is either the email that's sent out or the pop-up that appears on your screen, depending on how you set that up. There are some placeholders there that you can use to define some of the text that goes into that message. And I'll show you a few of the other options for the placeholders in a sec. So once you have come up with your rule, save changes. Let me just zoom out again so you can see that. These are the full list of placeholders for the notification message. I won't read them to you. You can read them yourselves, and that's fairly self-explanatory. So once you've created your rule, then you can subscribe to it. So rules subscribe to from the event monitoring page, and as soon as you set up a rule, it handily gives you a link there to access where you can sign up for the rules. I'll give you all the other links, the direct links to the pages. I've got a slide with those in a sec. So this is currently the list of rules that are available on the iMoot Mini Moot site. So just the one that I've set up as a demo. So once I've created my rule, I subscribe to it, and you can select which course you want to monitor. So for my example, I just wanted to monitor the main front page course that goes along with the iMoot Mini Moot site. So every time an assignment has been submitted, I will get an email to let me know as somebody that is subscribed to that particular role. These are the different areas that the rules monitor. So I think you should be able to click that link as well on the slide, my big blue button window, or if not, type it into your browser. In fact, I could probably also copy that and paste it. Well, yeah, it's working. I'm seeing loads of people joining. Let's pop that as a link into the text chat as well. There's actually 333 individual events that you can be notified of. Under that column B, if you are looking at it, it says components. So that's the actual area of Moodle that is monitored. So there's things like the individual modules, assignment, big blue button, book, chat, choice, database, etc., etc. Anything that doesn't fit into that is under the core area. So that's things like blog entries, calendar, course subscriptions, that kind of thing. So I'll leave that for a second, and you can have a little look at those list of events and start to just kind of let that go in the back of your mind. Have a little think about how you might start to use some of those in your teaching or administration of a Moodle site. To see the actual events that are available on your site, then site administration, reports, and event list. That's because different versions of Moodle have different events added. So actually, on that spreadsheet, you can see that very first one, badge awarded. That was an event that was only introduced with version 2.9. So your list of events may be slightly different depending on which version of Moodle that you're on. Okay, so a few things to note. So anybody with the capability tool / monitor subscribe can subscribe to these events. And we can have a little talk later about pros and cons of allowing students to sign up to event monitor. I can think of some, and I've got one example of that later. But there could be some really cool ways that you can use this with students. So students can get notifications, but I think there's some things that you, as a site administrator, that you probably need to have a think about. Okay, the other paths on that slide are just showing you where the different areas. So event monitoring page, that's on your dashboard. So that's the user dashboard, then preferences, event monitor. And if you want to swap whether you want pop-ups or emails, that's through your messaging system settings. So same as anything within Moodle, you can decide whether you want that notification pop-up or whether you want it sent to you via an email. Okay, so on to a few use cases. So I tried to split this up into admin, teacher, and student, and there's only 7. So the reason for that is just to give us some time for discussion, and I'd be great if you guys start to come up with some use cases as well. But if you do think of anything, don't pop it in the chat yet. So in terms of admin, things that might be useful, it'd be good to get some kind of notification if maybe another admin or somebody with the capability is changing role permissions within the site. So that might be a useful thing to monitor. Deleting courses as well. That could be quite a useful thing to monitor if course creators are deleting courses on your site. Be good to get a notification of that as well. Use cases for teacher or manager. So these again, it's just 4 that I came up with. So whenever a quiz is attempted, so that's the area to monitor for that is quiz and whether a quiz attempt has been submitted. Also course completion, so you could get an email every time a student completes a course. And you can obviously, as I said, teachers sign up to this. So it could be a manager, a head of department that gets that notification, or it could be the teacher that gets that notification, or somebody outside of that that particular teaching course. And the other, you can read the other ones. So granting assignment extension, or whether people have added any comments to a course. So like the comments on the course, that might be something that, again, a manager might want to check really to see what comments have been added in the comments block. A quick question from Josh. Yeah, you can monitor a specific quiz. The use case for the student. So I've got notify users about new files uploaded to a course. So that was something that you can't really do in Moodle, but it might be useful for students to be able to be notified when new files are uploaded. So that would require either the student role to be changed on the site level, or you'd need to come up with a new role that has that tool monitor subscribe permission made set to allow, and then the user, the student, would need to be given that extra role. I can see some issues with that. So there isn't a way to define which rules the students can see. So anybody, Moodle will see it as anybody with that tool monitor subscribe. They'll see the list of all the rules. So I think site admin would need to do some testing with some demo students to actually see which ones they can see, which ones they can subscribe to, and whether there's ones in there that they could subscribe to that you wouldn't want them to subscribe to. Okay, so that's really kind of come to the end of the first part of the presentation. It's a very straightforward process, which hopefully all of you will be able to go away and have a go at. What I'm going to do now is get you to have a go at an activity. So I can see we've got 22 people in the room here. So that should give us a nice random selection of people. What I want you to do to start off with is just take some time. If you haven't had a look at that, that Google spreadsheet, jump into it, go to the link, and just spend around about 30 seconds or so on your own. And I'm going to mute my microphone and stop talking for a sec. Just spend about 30 seconds on your own. Try and come up with some ideas how you would actually use some of these events, either within the Moodle sites that you monitor, or within your teaching if you're a teacher using Moodle. So I'm going to mute the microphone, and I'm going to give you about 30 seconds just to do a little bit of thinking. Okay, that's about 30 seconds. Hopefully that started to generate some thinking and you got some ideas. Now, this is where it might fall flat. Hopefully this will work. Okay, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. And in the big blue button chat window next to the second tab, it says options. And you can use that to privately message, privately chat with somebody else in the room. So what I would like you to do is to pick somebody from that list, ideally somebody that you don't know, that might be nice, and just say hello, introduce yourself, and swap some ideas. So have a quick chat with them, tell them that things that you've been thinking about, how you could use this, ask them how they would use it within their institutions, and just swap some ideas, see if that generates a little bit of discussion between you. So I'll give you maybe a little bit longer than 30 seconds to do that. And then Elma, fantastic, you've got an idea. Find somebody and share it with them. So click on options, click on the name of somebody else within the chat, say hello, and swap some ideas. Okay, so maybe 30 seconds or so, you can tell that my background's education. And I think I might join in as well. This is just a test if anybody's still awake. So if anybody is just joining us while we're doing this, we're actually doing an activity. We're not just sitting here in silence. Hopefully people should be making some new friends and messaging people, private messaging people in chat to swap some ideas. There's some, I've just been sent a few, yeah, some great suggestions I've been sent in private messages. Okay, so hopefully going on behind the scenes there, people have been having some interesting discussions and swapping some ideas and things like that. What I'll get you to do now is to take some of those ideas, just pick out one or two really concrete ideas that you would like to take away and set up on your own Moodle site. So this is almost a pledge that after this session, you'll go away and have a little look at something and have a go at setting up something. So start, I mean, if you are having private discussions still, fantastic. You don't stop having those discussions. But if you can, just pick one or two really good, useful ideas that you've generated and pop those in the main public chat window. Okay, so if anybody else has got any other suggestions for how you'd use the event monitoring, if you could please just pop them into the main chat window now. And then I'll spend a few minutes going through and we'll have a quick review of some of the ideas. Cool, this is really cool. I'm so glad this worked. It could have fallen completely flat and we could have just been sitting in silence for the last half of the presentation. So going from, I think Josh put the first one in there. So a rule for quiz submission where there are manually graded questions. Yeah, that's a no-brainer really. That's a really cool one to set up. Save the teachers having to go back in all the time and check to see if there's any questions that need grading. Kim, I would like to see event monitoring have the ability to send. Oops, I just lost the. Send a message when they submit the assignment. Yeah, so that's all possible. I need a system to tell me when one of my students have done a forum. I'm sure. See, now I haven't memorized the list of 333 different events. So I'm sure you would be able to get a notification when students have submitted in a forum. But yeah, I mean, all of these suggestions that are being thrown into the chat is fantastic. Just double check that there is an event available for them. If there's not, you obviously won't be able to set them. Looking at the forum ones, there's a whole, there's about maybe 20 different notifications you can sign up for, including things like post created, discussion views, discussion updated, etc., etc. This is fantastic, all the conversation going on here in chat. Now I probably won't be able to go through every single one of these in detail. EDC tilt, can you track if someone has, these are coming through so quickly, I keep losing the my place. The category levels, I'm not sure, I'd have to check that. So you'd have to set up the notification and check. I don't think so. I don't think so. You can only subscribe to the notifications on a course level, not category level. But I would have to check that one. Okay. Sarah, actually, students need a notification of 1 minute or something left on the quiz timer when taking a quiz. I don't think that's. I don't think that's part of this one. Course completion, Jeff, definitely. Nick, yeah, this one I love. For the Moodle haters, some people don't like logging into Moodle. So if you've got people like that in your institution that much prefer receiving emails, then this is perfect use for it. Triggering emails to the Moodle haters. Completion of checklist, great. Completion of first 5 courses. Okay, again, at the moment, Victoria, I don't think there's any way to do that kind of multiple, checking multiple areas. So you could get notification you'd maybe have to string your courses together. So have some way of getting a notification just from one course when they've completed those first 5 courses. So maybe it's the last of, once they've completed the last of the 5 courses, then you get a notification, because the notifications are just on per course level. Maybe that's something for development for Moodle for the future, ways to set up some kind of logic for these rules. So this rule has to trigger and this rule has to trigger, or this rule but not this rule. But at the moment, that kind of thing isn't available. Notification of a new user joining the site. Definitely, thank you for that one, Miriam. Okay, accidentally creating courses. Yeah. Actually, yeah, that's quite a good one, because yeah, if you've got a lot of course creators, you want to maybe keep a close eye on what they're actually creating. Maybe be able to then intervene before they're going off in the wrong direction. A question from Sarah. Yeah, no, it's different, because this one, Sarah, it just gives you a notification and a link. So for that example, for subscribing to forum posts, yes, it does the same kind of thing, but it's different. So if you're subscribing to forum posts, then you might be getting, well, you will be getting every single forum post or digest, depending on how you've set it up. But with this way, you could say, get a notification if there has been, I don't know, 15 forum posts within 20 minutes. So that shows that that particular forum is really, really active. And then as a teacher, you might want to jump in and see what's going on and why is this one really active, and so on and so on. I'm just trying to make sure that I've commented on, I'll have to, I think I'll scroll down to the bottom because I'm missing comments here. Okie dokie. Just, yes, Josh, your comment back to Beth. Yeah, exactly. So that's the cool thing. It's got the thresholds. So number of assignments submitted within a certain amount of time. Thanks, Elmer. Thank you, Mary. Not over yet. Still, we've still got a good 10 minutes if anybody else wants to throw in some more conversation and chat and things. Jeff's idea about error messages, I think I missed that one, but that sounds useful. Subcourse plugin on master course. Import the grade. Yeah. Yeah, subcourse plugin's a really cool one. Beth, thank you. Yeah, I can't. That's what I said at the start. I don't like to do the chalk and talk style of presentation. Yeah, that's my teaching backgrounds. Thank you, Sarah. YouTube tutorial, something like that, to guide to the conference of this. So on the on the course that goes along with my presentation, there's a link to the documentation on Moodle.org. There's also a very short video from Moodle.org.com going through the features. That's only about 2 minutes long, I think. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be much out there. And I really think it's a massively underused area of Moodle. I think there's a huge, huge potential. Page load time notification. Yeah, I don't know if that's one of the events that's monitored. Gut feelings says I don't think so, but there'll be other ways to monitor your site performance. Okay, so that's fantastic. I'm really pleased how that worked, and you know, I don't like sitting here. I'm not the font of all knowledge. It's the community. It's everybody working together, bouncing ideas off of each other. That's the really cool thing. That's getting that conversation going. Okay, so that kind of does bring me to the end of the presentation. As other iMoot presentations, it will be available once Big Blue Button's finished processing it. So that should be around about 15 minutes time. You should be able to come back to this course and go to the session recording. You should be able to see it there. So just a very quick summary, going right back to the beginning. What I hoped to achieve with this presentation. I wanted everybody to be able to set up monitoring on their sites, and I think I've given you enough information there for you to be able to go away and do that, and discuss the use cases for your institution, and I'm really pleased how well that worked. So thank you ever so much, everyone, for being a part of this presentation today. We do have a little bit of time left if anyone's got any other questions for me. If you do have any other questions, just pop them into the chat. That's the link there for the Moodle docs if anybody does want to do any further reading, although I don't think I hyperlinked that one, so you might just need to Google it. And just a few other thank yous while I've got the floor. So that's me. If anybody wants to connect with me, you can find me on all sorts of places over the internet. Just look for Vinny Stocker, all one word. Twitter and LinkedIn and SlideShare, etc. And a few credits. So this, kind of going off topic a little bit, but this presentation, it was a nice template that I found on Slides Carnival, which I actually used Google Slides to make the presentation. A little bit fiddly, but really pleased with how well that worked. And just with my iMoot hat on, thank you very much to all of the sponsors that helped to make iMoot possible, and of course all of the other presenters that are presenting in the iMoot, and the participants as well. Without the participants, we'd all be sitting around not doing very much. So hopefully everybody found that useful. Please, if you've got any other questions, pop them into the chat. But if you don't, I shall stop talking for a while, and I will leave you there. So thanks once again, everyone.